Tyson Chartier, what's up, man?
Not much, man. Just living this quarantine life, just getting ready for fight night.
Yeah, catching you at a pretty good time. A lot of cartel news coming out recently, a lot of top game management news coming out recently, so we'll get into all of that stuff. But let's start with the big news that came out, I believe that was yesterday. I'm kind of losing track of time now, but 2 days ago, actually. Calvin, Max Holloway, the fight that you guys kind of wanted, come to fruition.
Yeah, we're excited. Calvin earned this opportunity. It's we came out of that last fight. We did our job. We fought down. We fought the guy that made sense on shortish notice as headlined a card. We were able to show that we are a true headliner. We were able to show that we can finish big in the fourth and the fifth and take out the surging prospect. And now it's our turn to shift gears and be the surging prospect and fight the GOAT.
Yeah, and I was going to say, like, when Calvin came in, I think Max, was he the champion?
Yep.
So it's kind of I know Max doesn't have the belt right now, but this must be a pretty monumental moment for you guys. Like, that was the guy you guys, when you signed up for the UFC, that was the guy you wanted.
Yeah, I remember we were in Brooklyn when we fought Moicano, and Max was supposed to fight Khabib, and they did the face-offs, and they were right. It was me, Calvin, and Max standing backstage, and they were just standing next to each other. And then after Max walked away, I was like, dude, we're gonna fight him someday. And now it's it's coming to fruition, and it's obviously a great opportunity for Calvin, for New England, for the team. It's just it's surreal, but it's a big task, and we just got a couple months now to get ready.
Yeah, and you guys fought. I think your last fight was Calvin's fight was in July, right?
Yep.
So pretty much been staying active. It wasn't like he was taking any time off or anything.
Calvin's always active. I always say that if most MMA fighters, they get out of a fight and they dial it down to like a 2 or a 3, maybe they're not training for a little bit, maybe they're just getting fat or just kind of enjoying the win. Calvin jumps right back in the gym. Even if he's injured, he jumps back in the gym, does what he can. And I always say him and Rob Font, they're always at like a 6-7, out of camp. So when we get that bout agreement, we're right up to an 8 or a 9, and real quick in camp, and then we show up on fight night at a 10. So it's you stay ready so you don't have to get ready, and that's where we're at right now. We could have taken this fight if it happened to be in early December. We would have been ready for 5 rounds then. So we just look at it as we get 5 extra weeks.
Yeah, and I know you guys wanted the Ultimate Fighter. That didn't happen, but a little bummed about that. Was that something that you guys were interested in, right?
Yeah, no, we were definitely interested in it because we were kind of hearing that maybe Max wasn't going to be available. I'm like, well, if it's going to be delayed, you might as well do that. And I really believe that Calvin has star potential, and he's starting to show that, and that's something that can help catapult that and kind of get his his name out there a little bit more. And the UFC went a different direction, but that's fine. We go and beat Max Holloway. That's something that can happen in the future.
Yeah, and if you go and beat Max Holloway, I guess what do you think's at stake here, right? So since Calvin last fought, the division has changed a little bit. There's still some guys, Yair and Zabit, still haven't fought, but Ortega beat Korean Zombie and kind of knocked him out of the picture for the time being, and it sounds like he's going to fight Alex Volkanovski. So do you feel like that if you guys beat Max Holloway, that you, with Zabit and Yair not really fighting and Zombie out of the picture, that's your fight, your title fight?
Yeah, I don't see a scenario where we can go and beat Max and Yair, or we beat Stevens way better than Yair did. It was more convincing, and then Zabit beat us in a 3-round fight. But I think everybody knows that if that was a headliner and it went to 4th and 5th round, it could be very different. Zabit doesn't have momentum, so if we turn around and beat Max, now we beat Max, Jeremy Stevens, and Dan Ige. Since the Zabit fight, he hasn't fought anybody. They took a calculated risk back in August of saying no to fighting us because they were trying to push for a title shot. We said to them, that's fine. You can do that, but don't be surprised if we turn around and get a big fight this fall. It ends up happening a little later, and then we jump the line. So I think you beat Max Holloway, there's no reason you shouldn't be fighting for a title. You look at Ortega, lost to Max Holloway 2 years ago, and then comes around and beats Korean Zombie, who's obviously no joke, but beats the Korean Zombie after getting walloped by Max Holloway. He's got a title shot. So if we turn around and beat Max Holloway, I don't think we can be denied a title shot.
Yeah. Let's talk about Rob's fight. I know that's coming first. Marlon Moraes. I think when I interviewed Rob most recently, when he was recovering, he threw out a few names. Maybe not as far up the rankings as Marlon Moraes. So did that surprise you guys at all that they gave you somebody that was so high up?
No, because I think you have to look at the business end of it. Is probably how it happened is Marlon, had the taste of a loss in that fight, and he wants to wipe that off. So he's asking for a quick turnaround. You look at the rankings between us and Marlon, he's either already fought them, is currently teammates with them, or was already was teammates in the past with them, or they're already booked. So if he wanted a quick turnaround, we were the lowest ranked guy, meaning like the lowest number that he could fight. And so normally number 3 is not going to come off, number 1's not going to come a loss, go to number 3 and then try to fight the number 11. That's not their first choice. So, he was kind of fight us or fight nobody is probably how it was presented. And we're just trying to fight up. Rob's on a 2-fight win streak. It's weird that you can have momentum and not have momentum at the same time. Rob's on a 2-fight win streak, Sergio Pettis, Ricky Simón, December of 18, December of 19. Now we're looking to get back into December 20, making it 3 in a row. And what better way to do that than someone like Marlon, a title contender, ranked number 3, and Rob's coming in to steal that number.
Yeah, and like you said, I noticed that too. It's like every December is Rob Font's fight month. So
Yeah.
is it difficult, do you think, for him to be able to keep that consistency, only fighting once a year? Or do you think that he's done it? This has been the way things have been recently, so he'll have the right mindset coming into this.
Yeah, other difficulties, sure, but I think if you look at Rob Font, I think he sets the benchmark for how to be mentally tough as a fighter. You have guys like Calvin Kattar look up to Rob Font for how to handle the pressure of fights and how to train like a professional. So he's been kind of a New England OG team captain for years now, and a lot of the younger fighters look up to him. So if you look at Rob's career, he had a year layoff after his debut against Roop and came back and knocked Joey Gomez out in the second round. And then he just had a year layoff after the Pettis fight, beats Ricky Simón with one leg. With the torn ACL, he injured it in that fight, and then still, kind of walked through him. And what a lot of people considered a nightmare matchup for Rob because Ricky's so wrestling heavy. And then this last year, he's coming from ACL surgery. We got some of the best physical therapists in the area, the same guys that work with the Patriots. We leaned heavily on the PI, and the surgeon, the PI, the physical therapist, they're all like super excited about where his knee's at. And this whole year, he didn't take time off to get fat and do this. He got his head, behind a computer, started studying, did a bunch of privates with people, and started put that study into practice. And he's been involved in, Calvin's rise over the last year, so he's got to be part of that. Been, in the locker room for the main events. He's made those walks. So he hasn't been away. He just hasn't actually fought himself. And if you look at the last 2 times he's come off of 1-year layoffs, he's dominated. So I don't see why the 1-year layoff really is going to affect him, other than just the only outlier is that he's coming back from a major injury. And the surgeon, the PT, the PI, they're all extremely happy where he's at. He hasn't showed any signs during camp that it's something that's even on his mind. So the way I look at it, we're going with a Rob Font that's mentally strong, physically 100%, and he sees the momentum that Calvin has, and he's trying to get right there with him, and those guys feed off each other. And I don't see any reason why he's not going to win this fight, and then we're going to be having the same conversation about Rob that we're having about Calvin right now.
Last question about Calvin and Rob, kind of in you as well. The New England Cartel, I think, has established itself in the national MMA conversation recently, but with these 2 bookings, I feel like it's really solidified you guys as now we're contenders. You know what I mean? So. Have you guys kind of taken a step back at all and thought about that, or is it just you still set on gold, you can't really focus on those type of things?
It's hard because you get in this tunnel vision of fight camps, and you're moving, and I have this line that I always say, the white belt version of myself would think what we're really doing is super cool right now. I used to look up to people that are doing what I'm doing right now, and so it's sometimes you want to kind of stop and smell the roses and appreciate where you're at, but that's not going to help us win these next 2 fights. So yeah, when you have people that I haven't talked to in years reaching out, being like, hey man, I'm proud of you, you guys are killing it, you're doing great. It's we appreciate that, and it is well received, but at the end of the day, none of that matters if we don't win. So we get the 2 biggest fights we've ever had in front of us within a month and 3 days apart from each other, and I think we're going to come out of the other side with that, and people are either going to be really talking about wow, look at what these guys are doing, or they're going to be like, hey, maybe they need to make some adjustments. So we're only as good as our last fight, and fortunately, both these guys are coming off 2 wins, and we got a tall task ahead of us. And yeah, the recognition comes with success, and we're just still trying to build it. And it's exciting, though. It's exciting to see how far the New England Cartel's come, and how far New England MMA as a whole is just finally getting the credibility it's due on the national level.
For sure, man. And growing up here, I know that very well. There was not much representation. There weren't many events, and now everything's exploding. So. I think that's great. And a quick little rundown of some of your other clients on the management side. I know Mike Rodriguez just got booked. We saw that last night. Come out the news about that. What is the deal with I know you guys applied to overturn the Ed Herman fight, the ruling. Have you guys heard anything from Nevada about your request to appeal?
So they did exactly what we thought they'd do. They hid behind the whole, the referee is the sole arbiter of the fight. You know, he didn't choose to use replay. That's on him. You know, there's nothing we can do. So, you know, we push back. You know, I'm not going to take no for an answer for this. I think sometimes commissions in general they have no accountability. You know, it's not a lot of oversight, and they can hide behind different rules because they're the ones that write them, and ultimately we're appealing to them anyway. So, but I think we just got to keep pushing and be heard at a hearing, and let our voices be heard and explain that, like, listen, there's better ways to handle this stuff. Like, if someone who's never watched a fight can come into that room and watch the Mike Rodriguez incident, they'd be like, that's wrong. And let's just apply common sense. Like, this isn't politics. This isn't like, you know, no one's like trying to screw anybody over. Like, let's just apply common sense. So what happened to Mike was wrong. He should never have to look at that as an L on his record. Fortunately, the commission's already been shaken enough where they changed the replay rule. Even though no rule has changed, they're just applying it differently. So I think at worst case scenario, Mike should, you know, have a no contest on there, and then, you know, just kind of move forward on that. But yeah, it's unfortunate. We're just going to keep pushing. You know, we're just going to keep pushing. Hopefully we can be heard at a hearing, and then let it be known that, you know, set the precedence for the fact that, like, when a fighter's totally wronged and common sense isn't used, that we have an avenue to go down where the commissions can say, you know what, yeah, you're right. There was a mistake was made, and we're going to overturn it and do the right thing.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm thinking about your other clients that have come up. Peter Barrett, it's a big fight, right?
Well, we got Bobby Lee tonight.
Yep, Bobby Lee tonight.
Parker Porter next Saturday, the 2 days after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
That's next Saturday, right? Yeah. And then, Peter Barrett fighting Chase Hooper. That's a big fight for him.
Do you like that matchup?
Yeah, I like that matchup. I think Pete's never in a boring fight. You know, he's always scrambles. He's wild. He likes to just throw down. You know, I think that's a fight of two styles. I think if Chase Hooper's able to get him to the ground, that's his best chance. But Pete's he's not a turd on the ground or anything. So, you know, he's got good wrestling credentials in high school, which hopefully will be enough to keep the fight standing. And, you know, I think if you watch that Bruce Leroy fight with Chase Hooper, you know, he's still got a little bit of ways to go with his wrestling and his stand-up. So I think we're catching him at the right time, coming off a loss, and you know, it's Peter's time to shine. And then, you know, Rob coming up right after that. And then, we kick off the year with Calvin, and then we go to Mike Rodriguez February 6th, probably Fight Island, I'd assume. But we got a lot of big fights coming up, and it's just exciting that even with the pandemic, these guys have been able to stay busy and get some traction. And hopefully some of these younger kids will get on the Ultimate Fighter, and we'll be able to kind of push forward that way.
Yeah, and let's end with that. The guys that aren't in the UFC yet. And you also have Nate Andrews coming up too.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Sorry, I actually got booked. Nate Andrews is December 10th,
yep.
And the Cameron Lachnoff's that same night. Totally forgot about that night.
Yep.
Nate Andrews, Cameron Lachnoff, and Justin Sumter all fighting on that same card, December 10th. So Nate Andrews' debut, a multi-fight deal, long overdue. So I'm happy that Bellator pulled the trigger on that. Cameron, you know, he's looking to go 6-0 in Bellator. Like, I don't know, there's not a ton of guys that have been, you know, 5-0 in Bellator. So this will be a 6th fight. Hopefully, you know, a big win over an undefeated fighter opens up some doors there. And then, you know, Justin Sumter coming back against Romero, the fight he was supposed to get when the pandemic hit. So, you know, we'll run that back, and, you know, that'll put him in a good place. So we're excited about that.
And some of your prospects, you mentioned the Ultimate Fighter. I'm assuming Mitch Raposo's trying to get in there. Is there anybody else that you're pushing for tough? Or
we had a handful. We had a handful of guys, you know, try out, and you know, hopefully, you know, we should be finding out in the next coming days who they're gonna, you know, look at for interviews or bring out to Vegas for, you know, to do medicals and stuff. So I think, a lot of people ask me about Mitch Raposo, 5-0. He's like on paper been somewhat untested, but that's not that's not on purpose. We've had a lot of fights pull out the week of the fight, so he's either had to fight up weight classes against guys with less than stellar records. But he's done everything he's supposed to do. We're supposed to put people in front of him. He's supposed to beat him, and he's done that. You know, the last guy he just beat was only 4-3, but that guy had a win over Richie Santiago, who fought Miles Johns hard on the Ultimate Fighter, in the Contender Series, and Miles is doing decent in the UFC now. So I think he shows that he belongs at that level. He just, on paper, it hasn't quite happened yet. So yeah, he's young. I think that's what makes people so excited about him, is that he's only 20. Well, he just turned 22. and he's just so well-rounded. I think he's kind of the first wave of that next generation of guys who are coming up through that people are excited about.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, good luck tonight with Bobby and all the other things that are coming up in the next couple months, man. Crazy time. So appreciate the time.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.